Good morning, everyone. I hope you had a good evening or day wherever you are in the world. We've made our way back to where Kunyuma has stashed the just keep still, where he stashed the bushbuck kill, and we did not see him lying in the thicket right next to us. So he's just given us a snarl to wake up, and we're going to move the car slightly. You might think we're trying to steal the kill from him. So he's right next to us in the thicket here. Just going to move away slightly so he doesn't think we're trying to steal his meat. And he was sleeping right at the base of this thicket, so we didn't see him at all when we arrived. We've been here for a minute or two, and he only decided to let us know he was here after we started talking. Let me just move forward so Alex can see him in the thicket there. Yep. There we go. How's that for camouflage? So it doesn't look like he's actually fed on any more of it during the night, and he hasn't moved it. It's not in the best place to feed on. Oh, now he's actually coming closer to us. Craig, animal is here.
Copy, do I just make my way?
It looks like he might go lie underneath the kill to make sure no one goes near it. Don't worry, we're not after your bushbuck.
Position off in Yala Road South. If you head down to that small drainage line from the wrapping post on Yala Road South, he's dropped the quarry branch. Craig's making his way to second, and it's probably only space for two. Oh, okay, sorry, guys.
You might go lie up in the drainage line.
You're not trying to get into the Mulwati, you're trying to get into a small tributary that leads to the Mulwati. So just head from the Mulwati on the Yala Road South or north, and then you'll see the quarry branch and head down into that small. But the quarry branch has a bit of a drop off there, but just checking that will be just yours has also got the Nkuhuma that's in the close to.
Wow, how's that for a nice little jump? That's a wonderful way to start our morning. Looks like he might be going to check on that spot where he had the stomach entrails again. Don't go through there, big boy. That makes it very difficult for us to follow you. Watch out for the thorn tree. So he's doing exactly that. He's gone to bury the entrails again. You okay, Alex? Sorry, I forgot to mention, we've got Alex on camera. Andrew is in FC. And Brian and Scott on the other vehicle. So you're very conscious of trying to mask his smell from, or the smell of the kill from other predators. So this is the third time we've watched him in less than 24 hours, put more dirt on top of where the stomach entrails are. Craig, that large Timbuti to your right is where the knock is. He's just come back to bury more stomach entrails. I think he's going to head straight back towards that Timbuti now. If he lies down here, I'll make some space for you. Beautiful leopard. I think he just likes making Alex and I duck and dive behind the thorn tree every time we arrive. Can you see him, Alex? Can you see him? Alright, let me just take this thorn tree at a different angle and be professional at ducking this thorn tree by the time he's finished this bushbuck. Yeah, I know, I'm not getting a thorn in my head again today. There he is, he's still coming this way. You're more than welcome to pull in here. Yeah, he's just... Morning, everyone. He's just sniffing around, burying the stomach entrails again.
What did he take down last night?
There's a bushbuck right on the end of this Timbuti here. You can just see a bit of the meat through there. Yeah, I know. We found him on foot and then came back with a vehicle. There he comes. I don't know if you can see him.
Yeah.
So he did the same thing yesterday when we arrived. He went and reburied the stomach entrails and sniffed around, buried where he killed it, like kicking sand up, try and mask the scent. No, don't go that way. Hey guys, he's just in front of us now. We're just trying to see which way he's going to go. He might actually go for another drink like he did last night, which it looks like he's doing. Looks like he's heading back up to the road. And this is the only way I managed to find to be able to get down here. It's really difficult getting in and out of this drainage line.
Can you exit through here?
No, there's two drainage lines. There's another one on the side. This is sort of an island.
Okay.
Yeah. Guys, I think he might be heading back to that pan we saw him at last night for a drink. So just going to get a hold of Andrew and maybe we go see what Scott's got, because it's going to take a little bit of maneuvering to get out of here again. Andrew coming? Did you copy that? No, copy out, because it's going to take a bit of effort to try find him again. Maybe we can while we try see if he's going to pop out of the drainage line again, or and maybe go to that pound for another drink like he did last night. We're going to cross across to Scott, because it's going to take us a little while to maneuver out of here again. So let's go see what Scott's found.
Good morning and welcome to Wendy, the vehicle that myself and Brian are on this morning. It's a beautiful, crisp and cool morning here, and what a start the WildEarth team has got off to with Brent relocating on Kunyuma. So really happy that he was also active as you guys got to see him. So hopefully Brent's going to be able to relocate on him. I'm sure he will if we just give him a bit of time. And myself and Brian have just followed up on some lion tracks that Brent saw on his way down to follow up on Kunyuma this morning. So I've just come across the tracks for the first time, and we're going to start following them and see where they lead us. So without any further hesitation, we shall continue. It looks just like one individual. Oh, awesome. That's good news. Well spotted, Brian. And these lion tracks are also heading towards the dam, and then from the dam where Brent saw them, they apparently continue up kind of towards the Juma Lodge. But really excited to get a visual of this hyena and follow it for as long as possible. Maybe it'll even drink for us if we're lucky. Oh, there it goes, crossing the dam wall. Wondering what our best option. Let me just get onto the dam wall and I'll let Brian get a shot of it slinking off. It's an interesting thing with hyenas. Even though we view them fairly regularly at their den sites, they tend to not want to have too much to do with us when we bump into them in the open like this. Unless, of course, he knows something that we don't know, hence his hurry. That may well be why he's trotting off. When I say he, I'm not sure if it's a male or a female yet. But I'm just going to stop again here and let Brian continue filming him as he heads up that road then. It obviously smelled something interesting there, and that is, I'm fairly certain, where the lion that we followed was moving. Now that I can see the side profile, it looks to be a female. Their bellies are often larger than the males, and you can see how it's almost runs parallel to its spine, whereas the male's stomach at the back and the hind quarters will lift up and be less pronounced. So that could be a lady. And she is following the scent of a lion, and it's not uncommon for hyena to follow the scent of other predators, be it leopard, wild dog, cheetah, or lion, because they know if they follow them for long enough, there could well be a meal waiting for them.
beautiful. Well, the predators sure are out and about at Kunyuma at the moment, and we've been absolutely spoiled by some incredible game viewing. We all just keep wondering when our luck is going to run out, because it's been going on for a normal length of time, but we're happy to ride that wave for as long as it allows. Well, the hyena was heading towards some big open clearings. I hope we managed to relocate him, and here he is just in front of us. You wouldn't believe it, but there's some very fresh hyena tracks on the road on the left-hand side.
How fresh?
Seconds ago. And also the male lion tracks on the right-hand side. Not as fresh, but still from last night. So all good prospects. Following a hyena in the direction that a lion moved is not a bad way to be starting off a morning. So go again, the game drive interfered there. I have already. What more would you like me to say? Yeah, that you'd have to research for me and let me know. I forgot my thermometer at home. Apparently a few people are asking what the temperature is. I don't have a clue, but I don't know, Brian, what would you guess? 12 degrees? 15?
Yeah, I'd say
12 to 15 degrees Celsius, which equates to around 60 Fahrenheit, I think, potentially. What I'm going to try and do now, this hyena is running off at a bit of a speed, but what we can hopefully do, because it is a big open clearing, is loop ahead of it and then get it coming towards us. So hold on, and let's see if we can loop ahead of it. These clearings are so beautiful, and we almost don't spend enough time here because it is where we start our drives in the morning and then typically head out from here. Oh, no, there's another game viewer there, and the hyena's gone running past it. It's moving at a rapid rate. And I think heading straight towards the den sites where we usually view them. I don't think we'll get another visual of it, but we can try. They've got incredible endurance, the hyena, and they cover huge distances every evening in search of food, but it is incredible how far they can move at often quite high speeds, often on the trot. And this one up here may have disappeared.
You don't think the hyena den on Philemon's cut line?
Aha! You see, having a cameraman that's so in tune with what's going on around him is very useful for us, because as Brian's just said, there's another hyena den site not far from here, and the direction this hyena was heading in was actually more towards that den site that actually hasn't been active that we've seen of late. We've been back there a couple of times to investigate and see if any hyena are there. There have been some tracks heading in and out of the den site, but haven't been lucky with seeing any adults there or cubs, so we will follow Brian's advice and head across there. It's not far from here, and who knows, maybe we'll have 2 hyena den sites active at the same time, which would be wonderful. Ryan, the last tracks out of him were heading up between Yuri and Inga's house towards the clearings here. I'm not sure if you've come up with anything. I'm just behind you. Morning Ryan, morning folks, how you doing?
Did you see all of those guys on quarantine?
No.
They were lying on the road there, so I've dropped them to that side because the tracks are going up and down. So I'm going to go and check around that way.
Okay, cool. There was tracks of it looked like just one coming up on the next road between Yuri and Inga's house.
Okay.
I was racing around trying to get another visual of that hyena that came running past in front of you. Yeah. Cool.
So
Well,
I'll let you know about them right now.
okay, wonderful. Good luck. Have a good morning. We will see you later. I'm just going to go and check this Nisikaya right here, the one off Philemon's cut line, and see what happens. I'll let you know. Cool. Well, such a nice guy, Ryan, and most all of the guides really are so friendly to us out here, so it's been hugely helpful to us in terms of the job that we need to get done, and all of these guides we need to acknowledge because they certainly do help us to show you everything we do. Distracted us, and he's dropped his tracker off, and that is the benefit that the guides have that we don't have. They've all got trackers that sit on the front of their vehicle, the hood, or the bonnet, as we call it here in South Africa, of their vehicle. And when they do find tracks, they can drop the track off and continue with their game drive. Their tracker will have a handheld radio and be in comms with their guide as to where the tracks are heading, whether they find the animal, and the guide can often then loop around and check other roads that the tracker thinks that are worth checking for more tracks. And of course, if something happens to the tracker, they've got radio contact to get a hold of the guide to let them know that there could be some potential danger. I've just got a message from Brent saying that things are looking up there, I think, so we'll possibly cut back to him. Let me just double check. Confirm you'd like a link. Brent, confirm you'd like a link, or Andrew? Sorry, I misunderstood the guys there. Brent did say he was up, but still not a good visual. But as soon as they do have a good visual, we'll cut across to them. Speaking of trackers coming into dangerous scenarios, I worked with a tracker here in the Sabi Sands for many years, and his English was basically non-existent, so I only could really communicate with him in the local language. It was an incredible tracker, James Mdaga, and He once called me on the radio, and he was following tracks of a young male leopard, and he called me and he told me to come to Shangwa Pan, it's a pan in the south, as quick as I could. And usually when he would say come to any area quickly, that would simply mean that he's found the animal that we're looking for, and the sooner I get there the better, because it can be difficult to stay with animals, especially on foot, if they are on the move. So I naturally raced over as quick as I could to Shangwa Pan, and when I got there I saw the leopard lying on the kind of one side of the pan, and usually he would know where I would be coming from, which road I'd be coming from, and would therefore position himself somewhere where he could jump back onto the vehicle, and then we all drive into the sighting together. But in this case I couldn't see him anywhere, until eventually I saw him. He was lying in the reeds on the opposite side of the small pan. And I thought, what kind of a joke is he trying to play? It was a bit of a joker. And I thought, well, what is he doing here? And when I drove round to pick him up to get him into the vehicle, and I realized he had a look of horror on his face, and I drove even closer and realized that he couldn't walk. And he had actually been chased by a buffalo. Before he had even found the leopard, he didn't even know the leopard that he was tracking was there. He couldn't see it from where he was, but had been chased by a buffalo, and he was lucky. He decided to run in a situation where he probably should have shot the animal, because it was very close to him, and basically had come up to a small little sandy riverbed and saw the buffalo, and the buffalo started charging him, and he turned to run. And as he started running, he dislocated or tore all the ligaments in his knee. He was a fairly elderly man, and a short sprint away from a buffalo could certainly do that to anyone, let alone somebody who's a little bit older. Anyway, he collapsed in long grass, luckily, and as the buffalo came out of the riverbed, it couldn't see where he had fallen down, because the buffalo was at a lower angle when James fell, and didn't actually see where he fell, and just came running past him, thankfully. So he got away very, very luckily. If he had have carried on running and hadn't have torn the ligaments in his knee, that buffalo could well have caught up to him and squashed him. Anyway, that is an example of why it's important to have a handheld radio, and also a rifle when tracking. But interestingly enough, there's quite a few lodges where trackers will track without a rifle, just the radio. Well, sadly, this den site is not active, and on the way in I was looking for hyena tracks, no sign of them here. But what we might then do is head on to the other hyena den site and see what's happening there.
He passed on top of the hill there. So guys, we've been waiting here. He's been lying flat in the thicket, but I just picked him up moving now. He might come down towards the tree and climb, I'm hoping. So we're just going to stand by here. As you can see, it's a bit chilly this morning. When we started out, I had jacket, gloves, scarves, but now because we're not moving, it's not as bad. So we're just sitting here standing by for the leopard. I'm hoping he's going to go right up into that fork that he dragged the bushbuck into last night. There's also a possibility he's just going to lie down again. So he's in that same thicket that he was lying in this morning when we arrived. As you can see, it's a bit of an impenetrable wall, and there's the tree that the killer's in. So he's probably about 5 meters to the right of the tree. at the moment. I just had a brief visual of him standing up, but now we can't see anything again. Guys, remember, if you have any questions, please email them to us at questions@wildearth.tv, or just use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter.
This is a view from up here. All the
Ryan, do you have a visual from your side?
Brent, make your way up. He's flat up top here.
Copy, thanks. Hey, so Ryan's got a visual of him lying above. He's moved from where I last saw him back up to the crest, lying out in the open, so we're going to move up there now. Oh boy. Oh, just got that slope at the wrong angle. There we go. Whoa. You okay there? Oopsie, there goes my radio. Nice soft morning light coming through. If you've got a shot there, Alex, he's underneath this branch. Maybe if I
would go forward a bit.
which would you prefer? Yeah, there is. Maybe I'll just go the other side of you. Yeah. We're gonna get. I think we'll get a better one from the other side of him. You think? Okay. Okay, when? Got it? Thanks, Ryan. Craig, sorry. Jeez, too many people talking in my ear at the same time.
Okay, camera is a bit lower. Back a bit more.
Put back up. Right, start to get stuck a little bit in the mornings. Short. There we go. Okay, so he's moved a little bit away from the kill, just to lie up. Again, he could be trying to make sure he isn't found by other predators. We watched him burying the stomach contents. We've watched him bury the stomach contents 3 times. And as I can see by the looks of the kill, he hasn't fed since we found him last night. Sleeping cat. Leopard tails always seem to have a life of their own. I think what we are going to do is try and move around and see if we can get a better view. I'm just going to sit here for a little bit. You might move again. We picked up a few sticks and things in the car, so if you hear scratching around, it's just me removing the thorns before I sit on them. Okay. Cheers.
Thanks, mate.
Thanks very much. Okay, so the other vehicle's moved, so we're going to move into the position right in front of him.
2.
Kunyuma with Brent, so we'll Sam lock space for 2.
There he is. Very pretty with that. What is that? Bottle brush grass in front of his face.
Great, Standing by. I was Kunyuma this morning. Do you think you'll be still around if I go there later? I've got a bush buck up in the Tamboti. The best way to get there is to take Nyala south from either Twin Dams or from Central Junction. Brent's left a quarry branch in the road. You'll see the off-road track heading to the east into a little tributary of the Mruati.
Just so pretty with that grass in front of his face.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be going anywhere. He was lying up at the moment, waiting for the sun to come up.
So again, I apologize for my camera snapping, but it's just such a wonderful photograph. Oh, till he closed his eyes. Right now. Nose down. Sorry.
To the cruiser.
So he's found a relatively clear spot there, although there's long grass in front that we can see. Where he's lying there's actually not so much grass, so he's avoiding the dew. Sorry? Andrew coming? Sorry, I wasn't copying you earlier. Did you say something? Copy will do. Yeah, guys. Well, Mr. Kunyuma is a flat cat. We're going to go across to Scott and see what Scott has. So over to Scott.
Well, welcome back, and we've got a very cute little scene here at the hyena den site with one of the older cubs possibly in Dapandula, who knows, not me. And one of the smaller of the two smallest cubs, one of the two smaller cubs, the medium-sized cub, I guess, with the mother that we see feeding most often at this den, is not far away. They've just, I think they're just lying in the sunshine, but we don't have a visual of them from here. We did see them as we arrived, and then they moved off slightly down into the sun, and now all we're left with is just the one here. So when we arrived there were 4, now there's 1, and that could all change. It would be interesting to know whether the hyena we saw earlier was actually the adult that we saw when we arrived here just a few minutes ago. It could well have been, but we're not sure. So just down to the left you can see a little bit of sunshine, and that's where 1 adult and 1 cub are lying up, but it's just too thick and the grass is too long for us to see them. But they're basically somewhere just behind these bushes that Brian's panning across to now. Well, we'll give it a few more minutes here, and then if things don't liven up, we will continue looking for other animals that may be more active and more entertaining for us. It's always worth popping into the hyena den site though, because you can sometimes get lucky. Brent yesterday morning had a cracker of a sighting here with lots of adults and lots of cubs. Alex, who was on camera, said he needed to have a break afterwards because there was just so much going on, he didn't know where to point the camera. But just 24 hours later, it's a very different scenario. While we sit and wait, I'll continue to answer Shanae's question regarding carrying weapons when tracking or on foot out here. A part of Shanae's question that I did not mention was that she said that if guides and trackers do not have a weapon, they would be less inclined to take risks and put pressure on animals because they obviously don't have the reassurance of a weapon. And that is a good point that Shanae brought up. If you give somebody a rifle, they may be inclined to take their guests or themselves, if they're just tracking alone, through dangerous areas, thick areas, or to approach animals that without a rifle they naturally wouldn't do. Now, I agree with Shanae, that is certainly going to be the case with certain individuals, but in the same breath, if you are walking with guests or even alone, the chance of something happening, stumbling across a buffalo in an area where you are certainly not to blame, you may well need a weapon to defend yourself. So a lot depends on the individual who would be carrying the rifle, but I do, with guests especially, I think there's no room for error, and you certainly should carry a weapon, because even the best guides in the country may get unlucky and get into a scenario where they may need to shoot an animal, and that happens, and it's just one of those things out here. So to not carry a rifle, especially with guests, I wouldn't do personally. Alone, when it's just myself, I've done it before and I'll continue to do it, because there's more to it than just the fact that you've got guests to look after. The more people there are on foot, the more difficult it is for all of you to climb up one tree or to escape. But if it's just one person who's comfortable with the surroundings, it's a different scenario. So I can't answer your question definitively to a yes or a no, but as I've discussed, there are various pros and cons to trackers and guides carrying rifles and not carrying rifles, but it all comes down to the individual who's got the weapon in his hands. So a difficult one, Shanae, and a good question that you've raised. Well, I think the hyena have had their opportunity to get a moment in the limelight, and they are not interested this morning. So we shall continue and see what else we can find. Okay. Aubrey. Just wondering if you've got an update on those Nkuhuma. I'm not copying you, but don't worry. I will just continue in that area, having a look around. Go ahead. Go ahead. They were heading south on Zoe's, was the only reports I got a while back. Little antelope called the steenbok, and sadly they're one of those antelope that just don't like to hang around when they do hear or see a vehicle. Occasionally we do get to show them to you, and I was hoping that would be an opportunity, but it continued off. So, out of a family of leopards, there's a mother with 2 male cubs, one of which is the male you were looking at this morning with Brent, and I'm sure we'll continue to look at, provided it comes out of the thickish hiding places where it's been moving to this morning. And he's got a brother who we haven't seen in the last week or so, and I haven't seen him for over a month then, since I've been gone. So it'd be nice to see him. He's a beautiful male, just like his brother, and there were tracks of a male leopard heading into this area this morning. One of the other game drive vehicles did see the tracks, but I don't think actually followed up actively on tracking it. So we'll snoop around here and see if we can find any sign of him. And even though a leopard sighting is guaranteed and secured now with Brent, you may be wondering, well, why would we want to look for another leopard? Because it may be doing something different to Brent's leopard, and also it's just so important for us to keep track of these animals when we can. If there's any evidence for us to use, it's best we use it while it's available. And that way, try and keep a tab of where these animals could be. So that is the game plan for now. As opposed to watching a leopard feed on a kill, we could get lucky and see a leopard making a kill. And that kind of, I guess, drives my point home that even though it's the same species, they may be doing very different things. And in terms of tracking opportunities, there's not too much else to go on for us this morning. So I just listen to the radio here. I think somebody's just seen a honey badger. Oh, look at the lilac-breasted roller there, Brian. Such beautiful birds, the rollers, and yesterday morning Brian did a great job following one fly down and catch a little insect. We weren't sure exactly what it was that it caught, but they are such pretty birds in a league of their own out here. Ryan for Scots. Any updates with those in Galam, Konzo? Copy. Perfect. Thank you very much. Ephraim for Scots. Craig, did you have any luck finding out what was going on with Ephraim? Hooray. Well, I was hearing things when I thought that a honey badger had been seen. It's an animal that I've seen very seldomly in all my time here in the Sabi Sands and in wilderness areas in general. And they are such tenacious and wonderful animals. And I would actually like to go and spend time in areas where you do get to see them more commonly. Okay, well, I think this is a good opportunity to link back to Brent and see if things have progressed there with Kunyuma, and we will try and find something interesting in the time being. So over to Brent and we'll catch up with you a little bit later.
Welcome back, guys. As you can see, Kunyuma hasn't moved much at all. We are definitely going to wait with him to see if he climbs the tree again. Oh, how's that for timing? He might just be changing positions, which he is. Giving us a better view. Thank you very much. So he's quite a happy leopard at the moment. He's got probably about half a bushbuck left in the tree behind us. So he's in no hurry. He's in a really good spot where he's put the kill. There's no chance of any other predator apart from maybe another leopard being able to steal it from him. There's water close by. So he's got access to drinking, even though leopards don't actually need to drink. Where there's water around, they will drink by choice. In deserts and semi-deserts, leopards get enough moisture from the animals they kill, from the blood. So for those who weren't with us yesterday evening, we were tracking a leopard yesterday morning, which is a female, even though this is a male, and we couldn't find where the tracks had gone. A herd of elephants had completely obliterated them in the drainage line. So we looked around, and we couldn't find any tracks. So we stopped on a road called Nyala Road South, and there's a little tributary of the main drainage line that we drive down. The main drainage line is called the Mulwati. And we stopped next to on the road, and I said to Alex, let's just go walk down into the drainage line quickly. I've just got a feeling that maybe this female leopard we're tracking might have come up this little tributary. As it turned out, it wasn't the female leopard, but we came down and we saw no tracks and whatnot. So I said to Alex, who walked down with me, it's like, I'm just going to have a quick look a little bit upstream, and I must have walked 5 meters when I spotted him in the drainage line watching us, and then he started walking away. So Alex and I rushed back to the car, and it took us a little while because it's a really difficult spot to get to where he had the kill, and eventually we managed to find a way down into this really thick little drainage line, and we found him, and we found him with a bushbuck kill. And he had already eaten sort of the the entrails, which you'll find a lot of predators will go for first because they've got the most nutrients. So the liver, the heart, the lungs, kidneys. And then he dragged the carcass away a little bit, and then he buried where the stomach contents is, all the vegetable matter that had come out of the stomach. He buried that with sand and some grass. In doing so, trying to hide the scent of the carcass from other predators like hyenas. He then dragged that carcass towards a nice big tumbuti tree that was close by, and he then jumped up and carried the carcass right up into the top branches. Yes, we see you too. He then came down the tree and lay down for a little bit, went back to where he had been feeding on the kill on the ground, and continued to bury the stomach contents again. And then he moved, and he walked probably about 700 meters, and we followed him to where he went to a pan close by to drink. He's an interesting leopard because, as you can see, he's sort of half snarling at us. From what everyone tells me, this is quite a good indicator that this is Kunyuma. And Scott and I were chatting about it last night, and he says some days he just snarls and some days he doesn't. And I mean, we've been sitting with him for, I don't know, half an hour, 45 minutes in the same place, and he hasn't snarled once, and we haven't moved, and he's just decided to start snarling now. Remember, guys, if you have any questions, you can send them through via email to questions@wildearth.tv, or just use the hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. So what we're waiting for now is we're hoping that he's going to head back to the carcass in the tree, and we get a chance to maybe see him climb back up the tumbuti.
Or if you drive back to join the demo and drive just to be fine.
So hopefully he decides to start moving towards the kill again. Go ahead. Just stand by and let me take my earpiece out.
Back towards Trail Side.
There's that wound we saw yesterday. I don't know if you can go closer on that front left shoulder or elbow there. You can see it's not bad. Probably got it from hunting. Negative run, but we do have quite noisy equipment on the vehicle.
Okay, do you mind if I give you a rep?
Go for it. I think he's still further south. Confirm, do you know the rubbing post on Inyala Road South?
Negative.
Okay, well, keep coming. There's a slightly more open area where there's some old mud wallows.
Okay, go with that. So you say I must just come south. I'm obviously north of you then.
So, did you come from Murwati or did you come from Central?
I'm coming from Central now.
Okay, copy. No, then keep coming south. So, for those who've just joined or missed what I was saying earlier, it doesn't look like he's fed at all since we left him last night. So,
Put a brand new north, so I'm heading south again.
so he's hopefully will feed at some time during there, and hopefully this morning.
Just go past the fans, then you go through the drainage line. You carry on north. For what I'm saying, about 110 meters plus minus, it will take you on each side. And then, yeah, you should see a little quarry cluster on the road. And then, yeah, you
Oh,
turn off east.
flat cat again.
From the two tracks.
Yeah, okay, I can't find that 2-check route, but I'll make a plan, don't worry.
Copy. Yeah, Brent isn't too far from that road. So if you ask him to give you a rev, then you'll pick up his audio very, very easily.
Yeah, I just give him a rip, so not a worry. I'll check it out.
Right, copy. Otherwise, I'm going to have to come leave a little trailer breadcrumbs for you.
I could actually just leave a bigger slash like that.
Yeah, it won't, like I said, it's not the biggest one. But yeah, I'll check it again.
Craig Ryan's coming from Central, so he needs to come further down in Inyala Road South, closer to the Murwati. Do you hear a car?
She's coming slowly.
Ryan, if you switch off, I'll give you a rev from my position. Did you get that vehicle audio?
No, we're still running. Give me a rev again.
Still nothing?
Nothing, bro.
What's your exact position now?
I'm actually just here near that culvert just north of Twin Dams now.
Okay, so if you go through that Murwati, that large drainage line that we drive, heading north, there are sort of 3 roads that come out of there. It is the middle road, and you just keep coming north on that road, and I mean I must be 70-80 meters from the road, so I think possibly you drove down Vulture's Nest.
Okay, cool, thanks, bro.
Copy, will do. Well done, Scotty.
Yes, it's 1 by 5 and 1 by daughter and Ghana. Possibly the 2 from the Nkuhuma.
Okay, guys, while Kunyama is still sleeping, Scott's found something interesting, so we're going to cross across to Scott and see what he's got.
Welcome back, folks, and we found the lion tracks again and tracked them down here to Treehouse Dam. They've just got on the move again, which is lucky for us. I'm not sure where they're going to go or what's induced them to move, so I just want to get into a position where we can try and film them as they potentially move towards us. And I've stopped in an area that hasn't given Brian an opportunity to do much at the moment, but if we're just patient, here comes the lioness. And it looks to be like the 2 members from the Nkuhuma pride that were last seen by Brent drinking to the north of our property, so they are missing the rest of their pride. But they're looking okay. They're a long way off from the rest of their pride, who are probably about 4 or 5 miles north of us at the moment. They have been located on a property that we do not have access to. And got lucky, we got to a road junction a little bit earlier and decided to stretch the legs a little bit, and was doing some exploring on foot and came across these tracks that led us down towards Treehouse Dam. We lost their tracks as they came down to the water's edge, but carried on driving in the general direction that they had been moving in. And then Brian spotted them, so well done to Brian for spotting them.
Thank you.
And the incredible fortune with big cats continues. Georgia in Australia is asking whether lions can rely on liquid that they receive from blood or any meat that they feed on, or if it needs to be substituted also, or if they also need water. And as far as I'm aware, both lion and leopard both need to drink water. It obviously helps them to feed on whatever kill they've made, to require moisture or to receive moisture from any of those kills. But that certainly doesn't mean that they don't need to drink. I've seen leopard and lion leave kills while they are currently feeding on them to go off and drink and then return to the kill. So I'm not sure what made you think that they don't need to drink once they've got a kill, because they certainly do, Georgie. And as I've just said, both animals will leave kills in order to drink. So but a lot does depend on the area that the animal comes from. Obviously, animals that are fortunate enough to be in an area where there is water, they will take advantage of that. And you also get animals that live in drier, more arid areas that may not have access to water and can survive without it for longer periods of time. So a lot does depend on where the animals are and the time of the year. As you can see, a lot does depend on the individual scenario. You can take this one, for example, where you would have thought that lions are carnivorous, but at the moment this one appears to be grazing on some grass, and that's no surprise, and I'm only kidding. It's not doing this for nutritional purposes. If anything, it's medicinal and to help it purge its system. And for those of you with cats and dogs, I'm sure you've seen your own pets doing this before. Quite interesting to note, because it was just a few days ago that we saw Kunyuma doing this very same thing, and it's not something you see that often. So interesting that we've seen lion and leopard doing it in the last few days. Okay, we're going to switch over to Brent quickly, so there's some action over there. We'll catch up with you later. Oh, sorry. Brent doesn't have signal at the moment. But there was apparently a hyena that chased the leopard up the tree. But he doesn't have any signal at the moment. So we'll continue to watch the lion eating the grass until they manage to sort out the signal issues there. Well, these two have been alone for, it's about 48 hours, possibly a little bit longer than that now. And I wouldn't imagine they've had any luck on the hunting front. And their bellies certainly don't look full-bellied. So they'll be starting to be getting hungry and also missing the rest of their pride. We're going to get a view on this little patch that I'm trying to reverse us onto. Oh, looking at the line. Beautiful. Sorry, Aubrey, who are you looking for? Well, Brent's managed to regain signal, so let's cut across to him and get an update on what's going on there. It sounds quite interesting. Over to Brent.
Okay guys, I don't know if you can see that a hyena arrived. So Kunyuma moved a bit. The hyena is actually coming up the hill towards him. So it obviously smelt, even though Kunyuma's best efforts to hide the kill. He's running. He's got the hyenas coming up the hill here. We've got a hyena to the left, a leopard to the right. And take my hat off in case he gets in the way. He doesn't look too perturbed. He knows his kill's quite safe. It almost looks like he's toying with the hyena. He was stalking it for a little bit as well. But it happened so quickly. He went from a completely flat cat to this hyena charging in. There's also a hyena in this position off Vulture, off Nyalarad South. So the hyena's just below us in the drainage line. We can't really see it at the moment. We can just catch glimpses of it. And he's snarling at the hyena, even though the hyena is probably about 30 meters away now. So if my head pops in, sorry guys, I'm just trying to see where the hyena is. So the hyena is quite disappointed. Would have smelt the kill. Thought it's going to find some nice free meat, and got here, and the kill's high up in a Timboti tree, well out of its reach. You can see he's still watching that hyena quite intently.
Sense of recognizing, showing, missing a family.
Over him.
Can't see the hyena anymore, and he's stopped looking into the drainage, so maybe the hyena's moved off after realizing there's no free meal to be had.
Okay, Brent, I've landed up here now for you to the Morty Rib. I'm going to Jaeger this further. I'm going to go look at some Ngala instead.
Sorry, but I honestly didn't get your audio at all on the road close to us.
Dude, I've got north from Twin Dams all the way up to the park there. I can't find any form of slash there.
In Yala Road North, it runs from Buffelshoek. Where it crosses Central, just keep going straight there. It's not the biggest road in the world.
Are you guys on the eastern or western side of that school there?
On the northwestern side.
Okay, yeah, but I can't drive that road again. I'm gonna go look at it later. Thanks, bro.
No problem.
Come along, I'm just buying up on the damn wall now.
Okay, so
Ryan, what in Ngala is that?
he's just moved away from the tree again. Doesn't seem like the hyena's disturbances. Oh no, he's moving towards the tree. We're going to move forward a little bit. Or is he going to sit down? We're just going to get into position in case he does climb. He is looking up at the tree quite intently. Come on, go climb the tree for us. Here we go. I hope you guys are ready with your screenshots. Come wide on the tree. He's gonna go at the tree. Looking up like he's gonna jump. Okay, he's coming, guys. Right at the base of the tree now. Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to have to, we'll stay here for a second, but I think our best views are going to be if we go back down into the drainage line and view him from the bottom. But we'll just see what he does now for a second. Okay. Yeah. Oh, we're not going to be able to see very much of him from where we are now, so we're just going to move around quickly. Looks like he might be finding a spot to sleep, but let's go around. Down the hill. Oh, haven't lost a cameraman yet, but the day is still young. The hyena's lying in the road, or in our only access there. Maybe it's waiting for something to drop. Strange enough, this looks like, I'm not 100% sure, but it does look like the mother of that cub we see quite frequently with that very distinctive scar on the back and those very tattered ears. Kunyumas. So we're very safe up in the tree. I'm just gonna getting the angle right to climb this bank. We're just gonna, while we get into this position, we're just gonna cross to Scott quickly. and see what he's got. Over to Scotty.
I don't know if Andrew's monitoring what's on the screen.
Wow, look at the monitor lizard there that's just popped up, Brian. You can see its head to the right. To the right in the water.
I don't know where.
Further to the right. There we go. So the lion, young male, just appeared to be possibly going down for a drink or to eat some more grass. And this monitor lizard got the fright of its life and jumped into the water, and now we can see it swimming off. It'll be interesting to see what the lion thinks of it. The lion's just to the left in there. You can see now the lion's certainly keeping a close eye on it. And the monitor lizard will probably just continue on to get onto some land elsewhere. I'm just going to roll forward a little bit, Brian. Try to get a better angle. Let's see if the lion doesn't chase after this monitor lizard as it goes back onto the land. Not interested. And we were hoping he was going to come down and drink. But I think he may just be on the move, hopefully coming to get a little bit closer to the lioness, which is now just behind us. And we'll have a great view if he does keep walking towards us, because we are at a lower angle than him, which will provide us with a great shot. Sorry, Brian. More space in case he comes across to the lioness. And this is going to be beautiful, so enjoy this, folks. It really does make such a difference being on eye level with an animal when photographing or filming. And I'm sure you'll pick this up as he continues to move towards us. Or he could walk down out of view and we could see nothing. But let's see what the lioness does now. She could well follow him. And I'm fairly certain she will. He was the first to get up when we arrived earlier. And she followed suit, and I'm sure she'll do the same thing again. She may even give us a yawn before she gets up, so if you enjoy doing your screenshots, be ready for a yawning lioness. There we go. Nice big stretch. And horizontal again. Shame, it really must be quite, not traumatizing, but a lonely time for these two that have been separated from their pride. Myself and Brian were discussing why potentially they have been separated from the pride. Oh, she's seen something or not? What has she seen? Got off with a lot of intent there. And, oh, it's a hippopotamus. Well, that's quite a big member of prey to chew on, and it's a hippo returning to the water after a night out. And I just want to try and reposition in a place where we're not in the hippo's way to return into the water, as I fear we are in its way now. We're just going to leave the lines for a second or two and try and get into a good position to film this hippo. I might let him drive over the line poop there. There was one on the dam wall here, and you know, because it really does smell. We will wait here for the hippo to come back into the water. It's really quite funny to watch, and myself and Brian were together last time we saw him coming in, and what you'll notice is they get a little bit excited as they get to the water's edge, and he'll kind of trundle in and then almost freewheel or free float for a few meters. And it's a rare glimpse of an animal that we very seldom see out of the water. Bizarre looking animals.
He's testing the water.
Literally testing the water. And he should probably gain a little bit of momentum and trundle in. That's what they usually do. But this morning, it's a slower, more relaxed approach, it appears. Well, folks, I think that's as good as it's going to get from the hippo for now. And we're going to link across to Brent because there's a bit more action across where he is.
Hyena's coming back because of the noise of the branches dropping. Andrew, you coming? Can you hear Andrew?
Oh, you like that?
So he's busy trying to move the kill, and the branches falling have brought the hyena back underneath him, hoping that he might make a mistake. So she's smelling. So, as soon as the hyenas arrived, he's actually stopped moving.
Look here.
So the hyena was attracted by him moving around in the tree and branches falling down. She thought he might have dropped a piece of meat. She probably was lying up just out of sight. Can't really see what he's doing. He's right in the thicket. I think maybe if we go back a little bit, Alex.
Go forward.
Or forward. And I think back we might get a bit more. quite a difficult position where he's feeding on the carcass.
I'm going to loop around.
Those in Gala Mobile.
Mobile down there in Lilla.
Which direction? South.
Oh, where's this red out? Set that down. It looks like the hyenas just dropped down, probably about 50 meters away. And she'll just hang around here. She looks like she's quite full, and listen to see if anything else starts falling, and then she'll probably come back and have another inspection. I mean, he's not really feeding, he's sort of just licking the carcass. He started, you can hear a bone crunch there. So we won't drive underneath him. It'll probably upset him and also possibly put us in a little bit of a difficult position in case something did fall and he decided to come down after it. So you never really want to park underneath the leopard. Always better to stay a little bit further away, give the animals their space. Even though it isn't the best sighting in the world we've had, it's still incredible to be able to sit here and watch leopard. He's probably from the ground 8 meters, 7, 8 meters off the ground. Maybe even a bit more, maybe closer to 10 meters off the ground. It's incredible balance. And you see his back paw there, just balancing on a tiny, not tiny, but quite a small branch.
If you sort of drive up here, I might get a better shot there.
Okay, we can try that. Try just reposition a little bit. We might even get a better shot from a bit further away. Let's see, we're going to miss that. It's almost like because the hyena was here, he decided, no, he better eat some more. Pretty sure that hyena hasn't moved too far off. Leopards are definitely the most adaptable of the large cats and have a very, very wide habitat tolerance. The hyena's on her way back, listening to the crunching, hoping that there's tidbits dropping. So she's just been listening, and the bone crunching's obviously brought her back in. They're saying that leopards have a very, very wide habitat tolerance. They can live in many different areas. And in some of the more extreme cases, I mean, there was a frozen carcass of a leopard found at about 5,000 meters on Mount Kilimanjaro. How it got there and whatnot, it's very difficult to ascertain, but they do have the ability to go into those really extreme high altitudes, and they occur throughout the Drakensberg mountain range in South Africa. Although not nearly as high as Mount Kilimanjaro, we do get snow at the higher peaks. Hyena's not getting much luck. He's not dropping much for her to nibble on. Okay. I've got no audio. Okay. Well, there's not much happening here. Oh, he dropped a little bone. The hyena's on it like a flash. But we're going to cross across to Scott and see what's happening over there.
What's going to be the best?
So, over to you, Scotty.
Start and end your day on Safari.
Watching them on the move, and they could bump into anything now. They are more inclined to be moving now because they're hoping to relocate the rest of their pride, but sadly they are very, very far away from them, so they're probably not going to find them this morning. It'll be a while since they get lucky with that. Craig, come in. If you take the continuation of Elephant Skull towards Treehouse Dam, you'll see where my tracks head north into the block, not far west of Weaver's Nest. Copy. They're still up and down, so maybe they'll come closer to the road, but we're not too far at the moment. I'm not sure where the male is. Haven't seen him for a while. It's just the lioness we've seen. myself and Brian did a big loop around, hoping that they were going to stay on the road, and that way we'd be able to show you some frontal shots of them approaching us, but they veered off that road. And I'm guessing the lioness is looking in the direction of the young male. And if we're lucky, we may hear her do the odd contact call. We have heard her do one or two, and it's just a soft call, kind of like that noise that I've just made, but I didn't want to do it too loudly, not that she would get confused with me, because my lion talking is not quite up to scratch. But we copy that. Thanks, Andrew. We've just got a question through from Marsha in Kentucky. Good morning, Marsha, and welcome on board. Marsha's asking whether we think that this lioness could be the mother of the subadult male that we've seen following. But no, I don't think this is a mother. This could well be a sibling. It could be the sister of that young male. She's a young lioness, this one. And either from the same litter or a litter over a very similar time period, because they do appear to be a similar age, these two. And they possibly could have been split up by the pride if they came across any kind of conflict scenario. And that's the only thing that I could think of that would have split them up from the rest of the pride. They may have got a fright from other lion and then bombshelled from the rest of the pride. They're very, very far away from them now. However, it isn't totally uncommon for prides to split up without necessarily a conflict scenario causing it. It could simply be that they've just drifted off, spending some time away, and are probably now regretting that decision if that was the case, because they are certainly looking for the rest of the pride, and that's why we're seeing them active now. If they were with the rest of the pride now, I'm almost certain they would be asleep. Thanks, Ryan. Oh. You can So you're doing these soft contact calls. Brian, are you picking it up? It's very soft, so I'm not sure if the camera's speaker's picking it up, but you can see her head moving and her mouth opening a little bit. Sadly, she isn't calling towards us, which doesn't help. Ryan, any idea where the male is? Any idea where the male is? Okay, copy, thanks. The lioness is now making her way towards roughly where the male is. The male's just on the other side of Craig's vehicle, so that's going to be the end of that. For now, we'll reposition. And I was curious to see where the male was, and now we know. So we'll give it a moment or two. There's also another vehicle arriving into the sighting now, so we'll let them get a decent view, and we'll just sit tight and wait and see what happens. And then once they've got into position, we'll reposition the vehicle. Something to bear in mind for those of you who are new to the Safari Live experience is that when you are in a sighting like this where the animal may be stationary or the animals aren't on the move, we try and only move one vehicle at a time, therefore having less of an impact on the animals and what's going around, the audio that they could possibly hear that would be useful for them of other animals approaching. So now that the animals are stationary, we'll only move one vehicle at a time.
Start and end your day on safari.
Easy to tell what the best angle. She is perched up on top there. Oh, and here's the male. Beautiful. Didn't expect that to happen. And this false marula tree that's growing out of the termite mound is not helping us in terms of getting a good angle of them. But there we go. Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Joanne in Arizona asking whether there's a chance that these two could run into the Birmingham Coalition. Morning, Joanne. And good question, they certainly could run into the coalition of those 5 young males, and if they did, I think they'd be in trouble. Thankfully, even though there is a chance of it happening, I don't think it is going to happen, because the Birminghams are far away as far as we're aware. So, thankfully, it's not a concern at this stage for them. But if they were in the area, we certainly would be concerned for these 2 youngsters' well-being. For those of you that don't know, the Birmingham Coalition, a coalition of 5 young males, flying below the radar at the moment, but with the plan of establishing their own territory, are quite boisterous, and they actually killed one of the lionesses from this Nkuhuma pride not very long ago, probably to kill a lioness. It's typically the males that they compete with, but strange things do happen out here. And really being spoilt with some really great views of this young male. Predominantly because we are actually below eye level, so looking up to him, and it really is a beautiful sight, especially with the grass in the foreground. Such a good view of him. I'd like to make some space for Ryan to come and have a look here, and we'll go and look for the lioness. Because it's so important to share beautiful sights like that. We've had our turn, and now Ryan can make his way in there and show his guests a good view, and then hopefully even Craig in the 3rd vehicle. Georgina in Illinois. Good morning and welcome on board. Georgina is interested to know how old I think these lions are. And I think they're around the 2-year mark, would be my guess. But difficult to tell, and I certainly don't consider myself as an expert when it comes to aging animals. And it really is difficult, and that's why I try to shy away from or try and emphasize that it's a very rough estimate, because just like humans, animals can vary in looks regardless of their age. And copy. Well, she's poked her head up. I'm not sure what she may have heard. Last time she poked her head up and stalked towards something, it was a huge hippopotamus, so anything's possible. And again, what a morning it's been, with Brent starting off on Kunyuma, and I believe it was tricky, quite thick in there, but some great visuals were had of him, so I'm glad you got to experience that. And then the hyena den site, not very active, but still always good to see them. Okay, copy. I'm going to head back there. The lioness is just between us at the moment. Of finding them and tracking them down, and it is something I love the most about this job, or being out here, is tracking animals and finding them. If they all, it wouldn't be nearly as exciting as it is for us. With the male closely behind her. May have heard something, may have smelled something. You can see her ears have pricked up, and they are hungry, so despite wanting to relocate the rest of their pride, they are also going to want to feed themselves. So they've got a few things on the list of things to do. And she does appear to have heard something in there. I can't see anything, Brian can't see anything. Maybe they can't see something, maybe they can smell something or hear something, and you can see she's certainly putting her paws down as quietly as possible. I'm just going to try and use this opportunity before anything does happen to get not too far from the lion. Now the trick is to, ooh, this is looking good. The trick is for us to now try and find a spot where we can film and watch from without interfering. So you got the lion there, Brian? So Brian's going to zoom into the lioness. You can see she's focused there, and he's going to pan across now to the impala, which are just to our right. They've got no idea that there's two lions nearby. And now we sit and we wait. Fairly decent cover for these lions to stalk up to these impala. So things are looking good. Good prospects. Also from the outset is that two young lions with not very much hunting experience will have the odds stacked heavily against them. If it was a few weeks later into the year, closer to the impala's rutting season, the lion would have a chance of the impala having a fight and chasing one another into the lion. And that does happen during the impala's rutting season. The majority of kills you see are that of male impala. Now, as frustrating as it is, I'm not going to move the vehicle now, and Brian's doing a great job tracking it through this thick bush in the ongoing sleet, and hope that everything unfolds in front of us. The impala appear to be feeding towards the lion. In terms of the wind, it's very gentle. But here she goes, and you might just be able to see her back and ears move past the frame. Creep up closer to these impala, and would you believe it, the two impala are beginning to fight a little bit, and it's these little distractions that are what the lion wants, because they've already just got spooked by something. Possibly they could smell, they've got a scent of the lion. It's hard to say. All kind of bombshelled a little bit, and that's also what the lion wants. They all ran in slightly different directions, so they don't know where the threat is coming from. But they got a fright. Something gave them a fright, and I'm guessing it could be a slight whiff of lion that they may have smelt. Want to be seen, so it's going to be sticking low to the ground, using as much cover as it can to avoid being detected by these impala. I'm using my binoculars to scan through the vegetation where I last saw her. going to affect things. It's going to get us into a better position if and when the lion do make a charge for these impala. So, bear with me for 1 second. One-horned impala running after this Karula that we were following. And this one-horned impala, some of you would have got to see alarm calling at Karula just a few days ago. Prey animals such as these impala are relaxed that there's no predators around, because we know that there are very predators very close to us with the intent of catching one of these impala. Had we had just driven down this road and stopped to look at these impala, we could stop for 5 minutes and drive off and not even know that there's a lion stalking them.
The lion has to be to make a successful strike. Oh, I can see the one, I think. Yeah, I can see it. I can see it. She's right there.
Oh, wonderful. Brian can see one. Where is she? Just on the other side? Or?
Yeah, just there. She's close. She's very close.
Wow, look at this. Well spotted, Brian. And we might get lucky. I can't tell where she is.
She must be
looking through my binoculars.
She must be about.
Okay, so Brian says 20 meters. She'll probably at least have to half that distance before she can chase. So there she goes, and too far, and she got close, and well done to her for getting her. And now you can hear the impala shouting and screaming. But as I did just mention to Brian just before she exploded, she would have had to have half that distance before she had a chance. And that is an example of a youngster just not knowing what she's capable of. She did do very well though, and for a lioness on her own, who's used to hunting with the pride, I think it's commendable that she got that brothers. She still wants to have a go at them, but sadly for this young lady, without the element of size, their chances of bringing down prey are almost nil. And this is another lack of wisdom. The fact that she thinks she can continue heading after them now is very wishful, because now that they know she's here, she's got absolutely zero chance. Wonderful, we can hear her vocalizing. Well, folks, just a minute left, and we're going to leave this line and have a look for them a little bit later on this afternoon. What a morning it's been. Folks, thanks again for following us this morning, and what a morning it's been with Brent on the leopard and myself and Brian with the lion. I hope you've enjoyed every second of it, and until this afternoon, have a great day, and we'll catch up with you next time.